Hello there, world of tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, I'll be breaking into the 3 best tank destroyers to grind in World of Tanks Blitz. And in the number 3 position, we have the Foch 155, a vehicle that is equally overpowered and sometimes quite the opposite. The Foch has some incredible capabilities and characteristics going for it. It's mobile, reaching a top speed of 50 kilometers per hour base. I'm running double gear oil, so I can go a whopping 56, and with speed boost, I can actually go upwards of 62 to 64. But in reality, you're never going to achieve those speeds because Wargaming nerfed the power to weight ratio in the latest update. However, in return, they buffed its armor to insane levels. Basically, if you shoot this vehicle in the upper plate, you're going to bounce. Unless you're in a tank destroyer. But just the fact that this vehicle has that much upper plate armor is quite insane. And we can see because I have speed boost activated, I am still able to achieve pretty quick levels of speed, upwards of 40 kilometers per hour here, which is very nice. It means if somebody tries to rush down into this dip, I can tell you for a fact that they are going to regret it. So, oh, there you go. We got an IS-7. We're going to activate our tungsten, and we're going to get a 649 damage shell, and boom, 606. And that right there is 1,255 damage off of that IS-7. And just like that, his game's over. And that is what this tank is able to do. It's able to just rip out these insanely high damage chunks, back in the cover, reload, and do it again. And because this tank actually has pretty good armor as well, it's just a very, very dangerous tank. So we have the E100 over here. We get a nice shot into the E100 as well. E100 bounces my teammate. Just like that, now we've done 4 clips of damage. The Rhino got pretty good damage into that player as well, and we are just going to reload. Hopefully, that 183 does not YOLO my teammate, but I guess we'll find out. I'm just going to chill here in cover, and we're going to see what happens. There's the E100. We're going to shoot him once in the track wheel for 591. We're going to aim it on his track wheel again, and of course, I could have just backed up, and I wouldn't have bled any damage, but we know my luck. Now, I can see that this Sheridan might try and YOLO behind, which is something to keep in mind. There you go, Sheridan's dead, which is obviously pretty important. Okay, well, I'm going to reload again, and this time, if the E100 pokes, I'm going to hit him once in the track wheel. I'm going to hit him a second time, and he's not going to be able to bounce this one. There you go. And we can see that armor, even with a heat shell from that E100, not able to pen my tank. Just think about how good this vehicle's armor is to do that. So, yeah, the Foch is just a ridiculously scary vehicle in the current state of the game. The fact that you are able to deal 1,200 potential, 1,100-ish damage in just 3.75 seconds alone is just a slight low roll from an FE2 and 5B 183. But when you pair that with the level of armor, mobility, reverse speed that this tank features, I mean, that was a 4,200 damage game in just that short of a time period. We took, how much off of that IS-7? 1,255 in 2 shots. We penned the 100 4 times, took 2,360 off him, and shot the 183 for 596. The Foch really is an overpowered tank after the changes because of the level of damage it has. And as I said, with double gear oil, it also allows you to have great reverse speed, which is a big, big benefit for turretless tank destroyers. So this vehicle's base reverse is 15. With just 1 gear oil, it's 19. So with 2 gear oils, I can reverse at 21 kilometers per hour. And if I pair that with super speed boost, which gives me an 8 kilometer per hour buff, that means technically, when I'm using speed boost, I can reverse at 29. That is insane, and that's why the Foch really is just a crazy vehicle. And not to mention, it has a single shotgun, which is also quite nice. It's a bit more accurate on its aiming time and on move dispersion. However, its base dispersion is a little bit worse. But it's got really solid values going for it. I actually really enjoy the single shot. I just wish it had 640 damage per shot and 960 high explosive. Until then, I will be sticking with the double shot, but man, is this thing incredibly dangerous. In the number 2 position, we arrive to the Minnow. This is just an amazing tank destroyer, because it's basically a heavy. I mean, the Foch is not a heavy. Yes, you can play it aggressive, and I probably would have played the Minnow just as aggressive in that game, but the Minnow is a frontline tank, where the Foch is more of a midline vehicle. You're going to punish people for making over pokes, you're going to back up. This tank, you are going to be in the front line, stopping people from making plays. The Minnow has a couple really good things about it. First of all, it has 490 damage per shot. Basically say it's 500 DPS. That means if you pen 3 shells in your clip, you are dealing 1,500 damage. That is an insane amount of damage. That tier 9 medium has 1650. So if one of my shells slightly high rolls, I can take out a full health tier 10 or tier 9 medium. Not only that, but the minnow is actually fairly mobile. That's the part that's really crazy, is not only does this vehicle have incredible levels of armor, but it's actually a fairly mobile tank, achieving a top speed of 34 kilometers per hour, and its power to weight is pretty decent. The vehicle also features 10 degrees of gun depression. It has really good levels of penetration, because at the end of the day, it is a tank destroyer. I mean, it's not like the highest pen. Obviously, a 268, a Hori, a Jagdpanzer has more pen. But I think it has 380 mils of heat, which is plenty to cut through any heavy tanks, which is what you'll be fighting. So this game, interestingly enough, it looks like nobody on their team has actually made it over here, and it looks like they're probably going more towards our Type 71 is. Our Type may have killed himself, but he's on the safe side at least, so he should be okay. We are just going to try and head in as quickly as possible and see if we can, well, get some shots out, I guess, right? I mean, what do they have? They have 2 heavies, an IS-7 and a 57. 57 heavies, obviously, really scary. And, oh boy, our Sheridan lost 900 health to a Jag, so that kind of sucks. We are going to cut right through the middle here, and we'll see how that goes. There's the IS-7, and I would assume that IS-7's right over here. Yes, sirree. There you go. 495 into his tank. We got the grill, though, which is obviously a big old threat of Rooney. This IS-7, I'm hoping doesn't pen me. He does, but it's not that big of a deal. I'm just hoping that this Jag does support me. The problem is I can't really back up, because if I back up, I'm in a real awkward spot. But there you go. Jag does give me that support I need, and now this IS-7 doesn't... Of course, though. I knew it was going to happen. I knew that girl was going to just overpoke and shoot me. Even though that girl bled all of his health for it, still did it for literally no benefit whatsoever. But I guess, congratulations. The T-30 shoots at me. I would shoot him back, but we are on our reserve shell, so there's really no reason to do that. But thankfully, this tank doesn't really lose that much when, you know, loading its reserve shell. Ooh, you know what? Nah, you're getting cleared, Grill. I'm loading an HE, and you're getting knocked out of the game. Even if I have to dump my reserve shell, it's worth it, because it gives me the clear on that tank. And in 13 more seconds, we'll have our shells back. We can see the 57 Heavy, and we can see all these vehicles over here. I'm going to head wide, safely over towards this 57, because I'm reloading anyway, so... I'm going to push the furthest tank away. That way, I should be able to get my full clip out when I get over to him. So as you can see, just with the time it took me to reposition, I already have 2 shells loaded. And we just need to reload 1 more. And now we are fully locked and loaded, ready to get some shells out. So this 57 Heavy all the way in the back over here. We got 1 shell for 534 into his vehicle. And 2 shells into his tank. There you go. He's gone. And all that's left now is the boss shotty out. We're not going to be able to get any damage into the bat chat, but this is a pretty good game. And it shows where the minnow is just so dangerous, because that IS-7 alone would have absolutely died to us. Because while we don't have as much health as that IS-7, it's at like 2,600, what we have is much more alpha damage at 490 versus 460, and we also have a 3-shell clip. So I was shooting on single shot, which gives me about the same effective damage per minute as the IS-7. The difference is that player shooting gold rounds, which is giving me more alpha over him by quite a bit. And then as well, I have 2 extra shells. So technically, if I bring him down to 1,500 health, I can then just dump the full clip and kill him immediately. You can't do that in a single shot tank. And that's what allows the minnow to be so strong. My average damage in the vehicle is 3,300, and that's before they even buffed the tank in the latest update, and I got a whopping 76% win rate. So this is a really good vehicle. I can tell you for a fact that the minnow is one of the most chill tank destroyers in the game. You just have to be careful on that reserve shell. Don't dump it unless you have to. Like, for example, our shell missed that grill, which it shouldn't have. And if our shell had hit that grill, I would have been able to probably deal upwards of 3,500, maybe even 4,000 damage. Because by the time I would have pushed up that hill, I would have had shells to shoot into the bat chat, and then I would have been able to push the 57 Heavy. But because of the fact that I had to dump my reserve shell to clear that grill to cross, I ended up losing quite a bit of effective DPM, which is unfortunate, but sometimes you have to take risks, alright? And that brings us to the final tank in today's video, the XM66F. This is an American Tier 10 tank destroyer, and this vehicle is a beast. First of all, it has great DPM, 2,900. It has super good pen values at 412 on the heat, and 290 mils on the APCR. It's pretty good. I don't love APCR standard, but at least it has pretty good penetration. 630 damage per shot means that you're going to be able to deal a lot of damage when you're firing. And not to mention, the tank's also fairly fast, reaching a top speed of 37 kilometers per hour. Now, you may have noticed the reverse speed is 10. That is a big disadvantage, and something that you will have to keep in mind while you're driving this tank. There are a lot of situations where you will over-aggress, get yourself caught out in the open, and die. So be careful when driving the E4. Make sure you are not putting yourself in a prone position. But in return, the vehicle features really good values of armor, pushing potential, and the DPM paired with the gun is just so dangerous. In the latest update, Wargaming gave this vehicle sandbags, and sandbags obviously give you extra hit points, which is really nice. It means then you can run enhanced armor and get the benefits of improved assembly as well. So, we are on Dead Rail, and Dead Rail is obviously not a map I really enjoy playing on, but it's an okay map. So what are we going to do here? Well, we got the T-22, 62A, and not really sure which way in the map I want to go. They got 1, 2 mediums. We have a medium advantage, so I'm going to let them do that. If they fail on medium side, then I don't know what to say. I'm going to try and focus more on the heavies, especially because they have an XM66F, and it means they kind of have an advantage over on the ridgeline here. And we can see the XM. He's all the way in the back, though. Interesting play. Alright, well, we can see the E100. We can see the M103. I'm going to move right over here. And we're going to see, maybe we can get a shell into the C100 if he backs up. Doesn't look like he's backing up just yet. Oh, we got the XM, though. And bonk. There you go. 683 damage shell right into his tank. And that is obviously a fantastic example of the alpha damage this vehicle does feature. It chunks. I mean, 683 is a lot of damage. And it shows just where this tank really does rip out. A lot. But you have to be careful. Again, you have to be really careful when driving this tank. They got a 140 on my side, which is something I have to be really scared about. We have the M103 right in front of us. I'm going to aim it on that M103. Not able to high explode. Oh, that works, I guess. That definitely does the trick. Full health AMRAC on that M103. That's an interesting one. I mean, they have a 183, but the position that I'm in protects me quite a bit from that, unless he's all the way off in this corner here, but the chances of that are slim to none, so I don't think that's actually a possibility. We can see the Bosch Chatillon Avenir off to the flank over here, and I'm going to aim in right on the side of his vehicle, and when he shoots, I'm going to be able to probably get a heavy nuke into him. We'll see. We also got that 140 back here, and nope, unfortunate. The accuracy of this tank is not very good. It is one thing you're always going to have to keep in mind while driving this vehicle, the accuracy. But the rest of the tank is really, really good. So you do lack in certain areas, you gain in others. We get a nice shot into the Avenir, which brings him actually quite low. And actually that 183 was over here. I'm rather surprised. I expected to see him if he was over here, but we're going to aim it on his tank. There you go, 610 shot. The Rhino gets the clear, which is obviously really good. Now I'm going to make my way towards the camping M60. I cannot believe that they have a camping M60, bro. Well, let's see. Is he going to run? He is, and bonk. There you go. 640 damage shell right into his tank. That's got to hurt you. Now we're up to 4,300 damage. Obviously, some of that was guided by an AMRAC, but we still would be over 3k even with the AMRAC. You can see just where the E4 feels so good. I mean, the mobility as well. Like, you can see here, the tank's not slow. You know, a lot of people try to act like this tank is slow, but it's definitely not slow by any means. So M60 gets nuked, and we're going to get the clear into him. So all that leaves now is an Object 140, who's probably going to die, yep, to the Kampfpanzer. But this was almost a 5k game. Every time I play the E4, it's just a bop, because the armor itself is super strong. And the mobility is good. It gets up to speed pretty quickly. The DPS is great. The damage per minute is fantastic. And I just like the look of the tank as well. I think it's a really nice looking vehicle. So we got a pretty solid victory there. And we're obviously going to finish top on this team. I'm not too worried about that. So, yeah. E4 for me is still the #1 pick. Maybe not for everybody, but I can tell you that if you want a solid all-round heavy tank destroyer combo, the E4 is the way to go. Now, yes, there are other tanks that I could have looked at. The 268 is a vehicle that I could have considered. Same for the Grill 15. But honestly, these are my 3 picks for the best tank destroyers. So deal with it. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. And if you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.